Was not a tough call, but definitely a heavily criticized call today.
Yeah.
Jay, 2 strikes. I mean, this is it. Put the guy away.
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of respect for Tony La Russa. He's managed 5,000 more games than the three of us combined. Yeah. Okay? And he's a thinker, so I know he thought about this, but I've thought about it too for 24 hours. That I can't figure how the math adds up. I wrote this down. The league's batting average this year, after the count gets to 1 and 2, is 164. And now you're going to give Max Muncy a fresh count. The average of hitters this year with a fresh count is 241. And, you know, like, I wasn't a math major, but the percentages are so much better when the guy is at 1 and 2 versus Max Muncy with a fresh count, who had, by the way, a 940 OPS against left-handers last year. Ruben, you've hit with 2 strikes. You've hit with a fresh count. Is there a difference?
There's a huge difference. There's no question. And I got to throw that disclaimer out there about Tony as well, because I have a great deal of respect for him. I don't claim to have the knowledge. And I know that he is, he's always on top of these things. For me, my feeling was that he did not feel that this young left-hander was going to be able to throw enough pitches out of the strike zone for Trea Turner maybe to get the intentional walk. And I think that's what it kind of boils down to. To me, I know that Trea Turner is one of the MVP type player, and he's a great 2-strike hitter, but I just cannot justify making this move with a 2-strike situation.
Yeah, I think we have to try to think it through from Tony's perspective. The one thing Tony's absolutely right on is there are very few hitters in the big leagues who are better with 2 strikes, 1-2 counts than Trea Turner. We did the math. He's number 4 in the big leagues over the last 2 years in batting average after the count reaches 1 and 2. So he's 100 points basically above league average. Okay. Great. Still, the chances that he's going to make an out are 73%.
Yeah, and that's where the rubber hits the road for me. I just, in a 2-strike situation, I try to make him chase. I actually would probably, if I was the manager, I would have brought the pitching coach out and said, hey, I don't know if there was already a visit, but pitching coach out, hey, listen, we don't want to let this guy beat us. Mm-hmm. Let's make some pitches. If we have to walk the guy, there's still a base open, and see if he chases out of the zone. That's where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, there was one other thing that troubled me, and that was Tony post-game when he was asked about this, saying, is that even a question? Now, Tony's managed 5,300 games. He knows when he makes an outside-the-box decision like that, we're going to ask about it. It's what we do. If you're watching the game, what's the first thing that Jason Benetti says when this happens? Explain this to me. We ask the questions because we would love to get an explanation. And I didn't understand why he felt like he needed to be so combative about a moment like that, unless he didn't really want to get at the truth, which probably was a lot of what you suggested. He didn't have confidence in his pitcher to execute his way through the rest of the game.
It's so important for the managers to be able to support their players and not, throw them under the bus. That's something you almost never see anymore out of the manager, and it's understandable.
But it's one of those moves. I can imagine the frustration you would know as a former player. I mean, you almost kind of look at the manager and go, Skip, are you kidding? Like, that's when you almost want to explain to the team before you go talk to the media.
Yeah, I mean, it may be, and especially with the result. I mean, obviously, 20/20 hindsight always. Yeah. But it was a strange move. I think it was a questionable move, and I think everybody on the field did question it. But it's Tony La Russa. He's made these moves and had a lot of success doing them.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a historian, and so the first question I ask is, well, have we actually seen somebody do that? So we did look back, okay? Over the last 9 seasons, there have been 4 other times when this happened before the 9th inning. And 2 of them, by the way, were Mickey Callaway, so you can read into that whatever you want. But we had a really interesting one last year that was almost identical. This was the Dodgers were also playing, and Corey Seager was the hitter. Runner reaches second, so now Corey Seager gets intentionally walked. So we've seen it before involving this team. It's still so rare. And the other thing is, the score of the game is a really big factor here. You're giving Max Muncy an opportunity to do something which he really enjoys doing, hitting 3-run homers. Yeah. And if he hits a 3-run homer there, the game is over. What did he do?
So I've thought about this a lot, and I will say this, and going back to the other point, was that this is a bigger issue. It's about command. The pitchers being able, and young pitchers, they're so concentrating on spin rate and velocity that commanding the baseball, that's kind of like secondary in this day and age. And so for me, I mean, you got to have a pitcher who's going to be able to bounce a couple of breaking balls or throw a fastball off the plate. You have to feel confident that when he's in the big leagues, he's able to do that. And I just don't think that Tony was confident enough for him to be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it actually happened that many times. Like I said, part of that's just the strength of the Dodgers lineup. Let's walk Seager. Oh, we got to deal with this guy now. Okay, fun.